Okay, we're recording. And this today is a process called the tapping tree. Lois, have you ever done it?
Maybe. I think possibly. So, but we'll see.
We'll see. And you can do it. You can do it on any topic in the world. I really like it because as we go through life, we have so many experiences. You know, we're hurt by that bully in second grade. Our parents said this. Somebody said that. We went on this diet. We lost 50 pounds. We gained 50 pounds. You know, we sat on the couch one night and ate a whole bucket of ice cream. In the third grade, somebody said we looked fat. You know, there's just all these things, all these things. And with tapping, you can go through each one of those, and it's what we do. We kind of go to those things and we clear the energy. But what I love about this process is the subconscious is super powerful. And so if you have a tree and it's growing and it's strong and it's in the ground by the roots, and if you pull this tree out by the roots, what happens to the tree?
Dies.
It dies. And that's what we want to do. We want to pull these energetically out of the tree. So is anybody here new to Zoom? Do you all know how to work it?
I'm new to Zoom.
Okay.
I'm just playing around with it, and I don't see myself on there. I don't know if you guys can see me.
We do not, and it's fine either way. You will want to be able, I'll show you some things now and then, but it's okay if you're not on camera. If you have any house noise, it's good to mute yourself. In the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little microphone, and you can toggle it on and off. So if I mute mine, like look in the corner of my box, and I will be muted, on, off. And you can also do that next to it with your camera, which is fine to do. You can turn it on and off. If you want to say something to me personally, go over to the chat box. If you click on that, you can talk to everyone. See in the bottom it says everyone and it's blue. But if you pull down, I could just choose Kelly or Sharon or Lois, and I could send you a private message. So if anybody wants to send me a private message, just go ahead and put it in the chat. Good job, Susan. Great, you saw it. She says hi. That's great. And the other thing that's kind of interesting to know is if you go up to the top right-hand corner, there's a toggle switch. So right now yours is either going to say speaker view or gallery view. If it's in gallery view, it's going to say speaker view. And if it's in speaker view, it's going to say gallery view because it's a toggle switch. It goes back and forth. When we're in gallery, then we're all in our own little boxes like Hollywood Squares. And when we're in, good job, Susan, you got your camera. And when we're in speaker view, one person's big. So if 50 people get on here, and I'm showing you something, you might not be able to see it, well, you probably will, but you might want to put it on speaker view. Right, so in speaker view, one person is big and everybody else is little across the top. The thing about that is if I have mine in speaker view and you're like waving your hand, I'm not going to be able to see you. So just feel free to speak up at any time. And I'm going to, at some points, I'm going to be asking for feedback. And so you can just speak up at any time. Not feedback, but input. Okay? All right, so here we go. So all of these things, everything we've ever heard is stored literally in our energetic field all around us. So what we want to do tonight is clear that. So we're going to make a tree. And I want you to start with your piece of paper and just draw 2 parallel lines. This is your tree trunk. Just draw 2 parallel lines. Oh, before we do that, I just want to do a quick centering tap and remind everybody of the tapping points, okay? So let's take a deep breath in and out, and tapping on the karate chop point, we're just going to let go of the day. It has been a big day. You guys have done so much. I'm impressed by all of those of you that I know. Kelly's a teacher, a mom. She cooked dinner. She exercised. Same with Lois. Lois is working. We've all had big days, and we're just letting it go. Take a breath and fill your lungs. You can even close your eyes. And notice if one lung is fuller than the other. Isn't that a funny thing to notice? Right lung takes in more air, or the left, and just even it out while you're tapping. And with the next breath, notice whether you breathe into the front of your lungs more or the back of your lung. Most people breathe down the front, so just send energy to the back of your lungs. It's just kind of a mental thing. You're just directing it back there. It strengthens the back of the energy body. And now notice if you're breathing into the top half or the bottom half of your lungs. The lungs are huge. They go way down deep. So just go ahead and send air way down there. That's one of the great things about exercise, really, is just oxygenating ourselves. It's huge. It's so important. So don't you already feel better? Like, I'm already so much calmer. Tapping on the top of the eyebrow point, just a refresher. Yeah, you can do one hand or two, either way. Just giving ourselves permission to let go of a lot of old stuff. And breathing in and out on each point. Tapping on the side of the eye. Opening up to a new us. Opening up, just giving ourselves permission to let this be easy. And tapping under the eye, right here on this bone, under the eye point. This is a grounding point. Notice your spine. Notice however you're connected to your chair or your bed or wherever you are, and wiggle your toes. Like, really be in your body. If you ever get anxious, if people have anxiety thoughts, it's because we're not in our body. So just pour yourself into your body, feel your tailbone and your toes. And this is a good point to get grounded on, because stomach meridian ends in the feet. That's great. And then tapping under the nose. We're just ready to start new. We're just ready for a new beginning. And on the chin point, telling ourselves we're safe. So much of what our subconscious holds on to is for safety. And these are patterns that we've created when we were little kids. So sometimes it just helps to tell ourselves, I am safe. This is safe to do this. It's safe to change. I am safe. And come on the point. This is a good point to tap on for fear. I'm letting go. I'm going to clean out the closet, taking all those old clothes, all those old beliefs, and giving them to Goodwill. And then just tapping under the arm. This is spleen meridian. Really, really good for nourishing, self-nourishment. And we'll be using those points throughout. So I just wanted to give a good reminder. I love myself. I am worth it. I deserve this. My children deserve to be well taken care of, and I deserve to be well taken care of. And I'm taking care of me now. And tapping on the top of the head, I'm connecting to a higher vision of myself. I'm connecting to my higher potential. I'm connecting to the better me that I know is in there. And sometimes that's why we're not happy with ourselves, because it's actually almost like a internal motivation, because really there's something telling us that we really are not better than this, but that there's more possible. So we're acknowledging that, and we're connecting up to our higher possibility. And then just take a deep breath in and out. Doesn't it feel good? Just tapping around the points just feels so good. Okay, so now we're going back to the tree. Take your paper and make a tree trunk. You can do your paper either way. You can make it any size you want. I just did it in bigger marker so that you can see. And this part's very personal and private, and I'm not going to ask you to share anything. And it's going to be very individual for each one of us. You don't have to share anything. This is for you, so feel free to put it all down. On this tree trunk, so we're doing this for losing weight, or however you want to think about it, for healthy bodies, for ending emotional eating. So on this tree trunk, we want to write down events that have happened. So things that have happened that have affected our weight. This could be diets that you've been on, any things that have happened in the physical world. This could be, so for me, my mother grew up in the Depression, and I think there's kind of a mentality of, there's not enough. So like growing up with my mother, I can write down on here. So just go ahead and write down as many things that you can think of, every diet, every like, if somebody said to you, wow, you look fat, or something that really hurt your feeling that you remember, these are specific things that have happened. These are events. And if you have a question about whether something would be in there, you can ask me. Maybe the first time that you felt you were fat, or the first time you tried to lose weight. Childhood memories, like I have real memories of baking cookies with my mother, I don't understand the reference to the diet here.
Yeah, so what do you mean when you say to list out diet? So if they contributed to us getting heavier?
Just our experiences, all the experiences. Like a lot of people have gained and lost weight, so there's kind of an emotional zing to, like, if you went on a diet and you lost 40 pounds and then you gained it back again. Like I'm a lifetime member of Weight Watchers. I've been to Weight Watchers many times. This is part of my physical experiences. We're putting down physical experiences related to this issue.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have a question? You should have a lot of things here.
Too many.
Good. Yeah, whoever said that, you're on the right track.
It's Linda.
Linda, great.
Robin, it's April.
Yes.
You said we should have a lot of things. I can only think of one thing at present. So I'm a bit worried. There's only one thing I can think of. It's a big thing, but it's just one thing.
So how were your parents about food? I mean, just think like, even myself, even being aware of food, like my son, he'd get another belt in karate and I'd make him a cake. You have
Okay, yeah.
food when you celebrate.
Yeah, okay.
Or has
That's
anybody,
good. Thank you.
sure, did you ever wear like a pair of pants that were too tight and they split or something? Any embarrassing moments? Anytime you've been embarrassed about your body? Any secret eating you've done? One woman I worked with, her parents were kind of abusive. And so just growing up in that environment, she would take comfort in food. So you could write down the atmosphere you grew up in. And think about your family table, the dining room table or the kitchen table. Were you ever forced to eat? Eat your vegetables. You're going to stay here. People have that. People have really strong memories of being really little and being forced to eat things they hated. And it's in there. It's all girls on here so far. Girls can be mean, like in grade school or middle school, or in gym class. Did you feel self-conscious about your body?
Call from unavailable. Call from unavailable.
So I'm going to mute whoever that is. I hear some sound.
Can you
I'm
tell who it
sorry.
is?
And just if I mute you, just feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, and let me just close my chat window. And then, since there's probably lots more than we wrote down, just make a couple squiggly lines. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle on your tree trunk. And that is going to symbolize to our subconscious mind all the other things that have happened that we have not thought of to write down. So on there we should have kind of also some hard things. So if you've had traumas or really hard things in your life, somebody died, things that were big deals, just go ahead and put those down because they're probably part of this. Some losses, the hard things in your life contribute. And then, so you don't have to be artistic at all, like me, so then we're going to make some branches. So just make some branches from your tree, on your tree. And on these branches, we're going to write the feelings that we felt because we lived through those events. So everything that you just put on your tree, and go ahead and unmute here because these feelings are pretty universal, and we're going to tap on this all together. So just go ahead and now and then throw some things out. So this happened and I felt, you don't have to say what happened, but just say embarrassed or angry or
Like it was a failure.
failure. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to say embarrassed.
Disgusted.
Disgusted.
Yeah.
Good.
And then after that, I'm going to suggest hopelessness or despair.
Great.
Irritated or annoyed.
Yep. I'm going to say unfulfilled.
Shame.
What was that last one?
Shame.
Shame. Big one. Yes. Absolutely.
Kind of a weird noise. Oh, it just stopped. Distracted.
Distracted. Yep. Distracted.
Oh, and Judy's suggesting belittled, but she can't get her mic to work.
Okay. You know what, Judy? You can chat it in. That's fine. Belittled. Belittled is excellent. Isn't that interesting? Because even think about oh, wait a minute. Did I mute Judy? No, that's somebody else. Like even just think about the just think about feeling belittled, and it could almost be like your body making you bigger.
Yeah.
So actually, I just realized that because I'm recording this, my screen is going to show up. So you probably don't want to send me a private chat if you don't want anybody to see it. So if you do want to send me something that you don't want anybody to see, I don't know. I'm not sure what to say about that. I was going to say you could text me, but I think that comes through on my screen too. So we'll just share. We'll just be open. Okay, so belittled is excellent. Angry, sad.
Ugly.
Ugly, thank you.
Frustrated.
Frustrated, yep. How about lonely?
Ooh, that's nice.
Obsessed.
Oh, say that again, Susan.
Obsessed.
Obsessed is good, yep. And stupid. So a lot of these things happen when we're little. So think about these situations when we're little and how we felt. Yeah, failure is a good one. Fearful.
Robin, what about the ones that are related to like something maybe positive, like celebrations or a memory with your mom or your grandma or something? So would it make sense to have things like enjoyment or when you lost weight before with maybe Weight Watchers, like successful or recognized or something? Would it make sense to have positive words on here too?
Yeah, I mean, we are going to go positive at the end, but I think that's a great, yeah, just put whatever comes up. And even though we're going to tap on them, it's all part of it, right? We're not like black and white. We are a mix.
Okay.
And
That's part of
there is like that reward for food. There is like love in there too, you know, whenever we're those celebration times. Okay, and then just do the same thing with more squiggly lines on the branches. And this is just signifying to our fabulous subconscious. Those are all the other things that I didn't say, but those are all the feelings in there. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw some circles on the branches. And these are the leaves or the fruits. And what these are then is the consequences of these specific events and these feelings. So because we felt like a failure, you could say, I won't speak in public. Or I won't spend money on myself. Or whatever, I won't go swimming. What are the consequences? What are the fruits that you see in your life of, and it doesn't have to just be weight related, but kind of having these emotions? What are the consequences of feeling ashamed or sad or lonely? And if it's not too personal, go ahead and call these out too, so that we can withdrawn. Very good.
I don't like going into dress shops or buying clothes.
You dread it? Is that what you said, April?
Yeah.
Is this another feeling thing? But it's feeling as a result of feeling maybe disgusted, then I just had a mental blank. Self-conscious.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. It is a feeling, but it's also a fruit. It's a consequence, right?
Yeah.
And then because you feel self-conscious, like, does that keep you from doing something that you would do otherwise?
Yeah, like burying my arms or...
Okay. And see, the more specific you get, that's really good. So actually write that down. Bearing my arms is really good.
Wearing shorts.
Yes. Me too.
Wearing a bathing suit.
So, and sometimes it even helps to think, okay, so what would I do if I was at my, in my, body, how I feel like it should be? Sometimes it has nothing to do with your body. It could just be, what if you didn't feel like a failure? What would you be doing? Writing a book?
So this is positive.
So sorry, this is still fruit, or this is in a different area?
Fruit, the consequences.
But
Oh,
it's the opposite now, right?
What are the consequences of us feeling these feelings? If we feel sad and
Write a
ugly,
book.
what's that?
It means it would lead to us not writing our book or not doing. I get it what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the real consequences, which we don't always connect the dots. You know, what are the consequences? Like, look at your list of feelings and just ask yourself, what's the consequence of me feeling hopeless? You know, maybe you'd like to travel, but you just don't do it. Or maybe you'd like to go on a bike ride, but you just don't do it. And it could be a little bit more general, like it could just be kind of staying hidden in life or not wanting to be seen. And then do the same thing. Draw some circles and put some little squiggles. There's a lot more consequences than we said. Maybe not exercising enough, not cooking well enough for ourselves. Not feeling good about ourselves. Okay, squiggly lines for all those other consequences and fruits of these feelings that we have felt, and just kind of honor yourself for going through this, because we're kind of putting like a lot of the negatives all at once. And now put a horizon, a ground from your tree. And below the surface of the tree are the roots. And this is really true, because so the fruits are what are the outward consequences of all of these things we've been through and the feelings that we've felt. But the roots are our thoughts and beliefs about ourselves. They go down deep into the earth. So what do we think about ourselves because of these things? And these are pretty universal, and it kind of comes down to, I'm not good enough. Something kind of classic like that. But I'm not good enough. And also think about yourself as a little girl or a little boy if you're listening later. What did you feel like when you were 3 or 7?
I think when we did on Facebook, one of the things where you had posted those 3 questions to ask ourselves, I remember when I did the muscle testing thing, I found that I don't deserve it.
Okay, so yeah. So I
Not deserving.
I don't deserve it. Yeah, and see, that's like totally underground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mind thinks, of course I deserve it.
I'm just always going to be this way. Kind of like resigned.
Yeah, I'm going to put resigned up here in the branches because that's a feeling, but that is a thought, and these are typical thoughts that always go with it. And how about, so I always had this one, other people can do it, but I can't.
Or a root.
Mm-hmm. Like that was very familiar to me. So this is where you put those familiar thoughts. They're kind of feelings too, but they're about us. They're things that we've taken in and made about us.
I'll never be good enough.
Perfect. I mean, not perfect that you feel that, but that's the exact type of thing.
I can't be trusted.
Mm. Great. How about I'm out of control?
Oh, okay.
It won't work for me. My whole family is fat. It's in the genes. And then just think of the repetitious thoughts. Like if you're here in this group, you've tried to be lighter, be leaner before. So is it like, this is hard, I can't do it, I lose it, I gain it? It doesn't all have to be just about you, but these are just easy thoughts that just roll off the top of your head. And for some of us, for some people, the weight is really almost an effect of something else. So if the weight, and this is partly for the recording, if the weight, if your biggest issue, say, isn't really losing weight, but it's, I'm not sure even what the example is, but I'm feeling like I should say this. So if you have another issue that's really the big issue in your life and you have extra weight because of this, then just do your tree on that other issue. So do the events and the feelings and the fruits of that, and then maybe one of the fruits of that. And actually, even on ours, one of the consequences of this is extra pounds on our body, right? You can do this for any topic. And then just do the same thing. Do the squiggles down on the roots, all those other beliefs.
I had one about feeling like, I mean, it's kind of specific, but maybe other people can relate to it. Feeling like it's like I'm being selfish to focus on myself.
That's really
that I
good.
should be paying attention to Anna, and if I'm watching my diet, then that's not right. I'm supposed to be focused all on her.
Right.
So I don't know how you characterize that simply.
Yeah, I'm going to put it down in the roots, but yeah, it's selfish to think about me. I think everybody can relate to that. All the moms. And even if you don't have kids, your husband or your work, there's always things that should come ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the squiggly lines. So just take a look at your tree. So this is your tree. This is all your stuff. This actually feels a little milder than when I usually do this. Usually you get, And like sometimes people are even like crying because it's like, oh my gosh, in one place, here are all the yucky, hard things. So it's okay if it's a little hard. So look at your tree and just, you know how we do the ratings in tapping? So how hard is this, 0 to 10? Just go ahead and put a little number up there at the corner. 10 would be, this is awful. I hate it. 0, 1 is like, it's bad, but it's okay. And then I want you to give your tree a name. You could name it Bill or Henry. You could name it the ugly body tree. You could name it Ugh. The name comes from within you. What's the name of your tree? The frustration tree, anything you want. And after you have your name, just go ahead and close your eyes and look at your tree inside on the movie screen of your mind. What does your tree look like? What kind of a tree is it? How tall is it or short is it? What kind of bark does it have? Does it have leaves or no leaves? Does it have anything else? Like, what does the ground look like? Sometimes people see the ground, sometimes they don't. Whatever you see is fine. And if you don't see a tree, just go ahead and make one up. And then just because I like to have everybody see, I always think it's interesting when you're tapping to have like at least 2 or 3 people share, because our pictures are going to be so different. I've had amazing experiences doing this tapping tree before, which I'll share maybe some of them. But is anybody willing to share the picture of their tree? A verbal description, not a picture.
Sure. But it looks like Sharon's waving.
Okay, Sharon, what's your tree look like?
Well, it's sort of like a Bodhi tree. It's got a big, wide, heavy trunk of the tree, and the outside is not too coarse. It's actually kind of smooth, but in sort of like waves, and it has small branches, so it's a real thick body, but the branches are kind of small, and the ground is very uneven and basically slopes down.
And about how tall would you say it was?
Oh, it seems tall, like 12, 15, probably 15 to 20 feet tall.
Okay. And does it have leaves and everything? Is it?
No, it just has thin branches, but no leaves.
Branches with no leaves, yeah. That's great. That's such a good picture. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Lois?
Okay, so my tree, I immediately saw it, and it was like short, like like, I don't know, it just didn't grow properly. It never really matured. It just didn't like hasn't amounted to anything. The bark is rough and it's kind of like knotted and the branches are short, and it must be winter or something because there are no leaves. It's a sad looking tree, and the height, I would say, is maybe, let's say 10 feet tall, I'd say.
Excellent. Oh, I forgot to ask. So Lois, what's the name of your tree? And then I want to go back to Sharon.
Oh, goodness. It's the hopeless tree.
Okay. You don't have to tell me if you don't want, but yeah, that's real. That's what comes up, right? And it's great because it's coming up so it can go out.
Yeah.
Sharon, do you mind sharing?
I called it the glutton tree.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and then let's have one more tree. Anybody want to share? If you don't, it's okay. I hear tapping, and I see Susan's mouth moving, but I can't hear you. And then I hear some sort of little tapping.
I hear the tapping too. Now,
Yeah. And I just unmuted, but then I just heard a one tap.
Judy has posted in the chat.
Okay. Thank
She
you.
says, my tree is about 12 feet tall, no leaves, knotted, and I call it a hot mess.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, and Susan, what were you going to say?
Oh, just mine too is squatty, kind of like what Lois was saying. Well, mine is shorter though. Mine is called the chubbo tree. And it's probably, I don't know, it kind of amuses me. It's probably 5 to 7 feet tall, really chubby, thick trunk. It's like an oak tree that was growing in my parents' front yard, but it's just got this enormously lopsided, heavy trunk. And so the leaves, the amount of leaves and branches, and there are green leaves on it, it's just not even. It's just so much fat trunk versus the foliage or whatever on top.
Okay.
It's not really what you would expect for an oak tree in terms of bark, and the ground was rugged.
Great. Really awesome information. And isn't it interesting? Actually, ours were a little more similar than usual, but isn't it interesting the detail that comes up? And that's all just subconscious, great subconscious information. Okay, so now, like, your subconscious has bundled this all into this tree. So we're going to tap and we're going to release all of this. It's so awesome. So let's see, if everybody would mute yourself. And Lois, would you be my echo? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Lois is going to echo me, and everybody else just say it while you're muted, and then I'll give some time, and I'll just say, I'll have you just go down through your events. Okay, so even though I have this tree.
Even though I have this tree.
And all that this means to me.
And all that this means to me.
And all that I've been through in my life.
And all that I've been through in my life.
I deeply and completely accept myself anyway.
I deeply and completely accept myself anyway.
Even though I have this tree and all these things in it.
Even though I have this tree and all these things in it.
And all these things I've experienced in my life.
And all these things I've experienced in my life.
I'm choosing to let go of the old vibrations.
I'm choosing to let go of the old vibrations.
And I am choosing to become free and clear and happy.
I'm choosing to become free and clear and happy.
Tapping around the points. This tree.
This tree.
All the parts of this tree.
Side of the eye, all the parts of this tree.
Under the eye, and all of these things that I have lived through.
And all of these things that I have lived through.
Under the nose, these events that I have been through.
These events that I have been through.
Chin point, my childhood stuff.
My childhood stuff.
Tapping on the collarbone point, my parents' feelings about food.
My parents' feelings about food.
Under the arm, my parents' feelings about me.
My parents' feelings about me.
Top of the head, how I learned to see food.
How I learned to see food.
Top of the head, and how I learned to use food.
How I learned to use food.
Side of the eye, to make myself feel better.
To make myself feel better.
All these feelings like a failure.
All these feelings like a failure.
Under the nose, I felt like a failure.
I felt like a failure.
Chin point. All these embarrassed feelings.
All these embarrassed feelings.
Collarbone, this irritation.
This irritation.
And annoyance.
And annoyance.
Under the arm, this anger stored in my body.
This anger stored in my body.
Top of the head, all of this shame.
All of this shame.
Eyebrow point, this feeling like I'm not good enough.
This feeling like I'm not good enough.
Side of the eye, this embarrassment about my body.
This embarrassment about my body.
Under the eye, all this sadness.
All this sadness.
Under the nose, all of this fear.
All of this fear.
Chin, feeling disgusted.
Feeling disgusted.
Collarbone, and frustrated.
And frustrated.
And remember to breathe as we go around the points. This hopelessness.
This hopelessness.
Letting go of this despair.
Letting go of this despair.
These feelings of being unfulfilled.
These feelings of being unfulfilled.
Eyebrow point, I felt belittled.
I felt belittled.
Side of the eye, I felt resigned.
I felt resigned.
Under the eye, all these feelings of loneliness.
All these feelings of loneliness.
Under the nose, and all these feelings of isolation.
And all these feelings of isolation.
Chin, this confusion.
This confusion.
Collarbone, and all these other feelings.
And all these other feelings.
And all the things that it's keeping me from doing.
And all of the things that it's keeping me from doing.
Under the arm, I won't wear a bathing suit.
I won't wear a bathing suit.
Top of the head, I don't want to be seen.
I don't want to be seen.
Top of the eyebrows, it feels good to stay hidden.
It feels good to stay hidden.
Side of the eye, I'm afraid to step out.
I'm afraid to step out.
Under the eye, it feels safer to be withdrawn.
It feels safer to be withdrawn.
Under the nose, I'm not giving out my gifts.
I'm not giving out my gifts.
Chin, and I'm feeling guilty about it.
And I'm feeling guilty about it.
Collarbone, I dread buying clothes.
I dread buying clothes.
And I'm not taking good care of myself.
And I'm not taking good care of myself.
Under the arm, and I'm teaching my kids to not take good care of themselves.
And I'm teaching my kids to not take good care of themselves.
I won't wear bare arms.
I won't go with bare arms.
And it's hard to even say nice things to myself.
And it's hard to even say nice things to myself.
I feel self-conscious.
I feel self-conscious.
And I really judge myself.
And I really judge myself.
How could you let yourself get this way?
How could you let yourself get this way?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
You're so stupid.
You're so stupid.
There's no fixing you.
There's no fixing you.
I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough.
I'll never be good enough.
I'll never be good enough.
Other people can do it,
Other people can do it,
but not me.
but not me.
I can't be trusted.
I can't be trusted.
I am out of control.
I am out of control.
And that's really good yawning, everybody. Whenever you yawn, it's an energetic release. I think I forgot to say that in this group, but yawning is really good. It won't work for me.
It won't work for me.
And how could I be so selfish?
How could I be so selfish?
Under the arms. I'm supposed to be taking care of everybody else.
I'm supposed to be taking care of everybody else.
And I don't deserve it.
And I don't deserve it.
Some part of me believes that I don't even deserve this.
Some part of me believes that I don't even deserve this.
I'm just a worthless worm
Just a worthless worm
crawling around the roots of this tree.
crawling around the roots of this tree.
My whole family's fat, so why shouldn't I be?
My whole family's fat, so why shouldn't I be?
I'm always going to be this way.
I'm always going to be this way.
There's no hope.
There is no hope.
And all these other thoughts that I have.
And all these other thoughts that I have.
And all these other things that I've lived through.
And all these other things that I've lived through.
No wonder I felt these feelings.
No wonder I felt these feelings.
Anybody that lived through my events would feel these feelings.
Anybody that lived through my events would feel these feelings.
But that was then.
But that was then.
And this is now.
And this is now.
And I can let that go.
And I can let that go.
And I can choose how I want to live from now on.
And I can choose how I want to live from now on.
I'm already past that.
I'm already past that.
But somehow it's still hanging around in my energy field.
But somehow it's still hanging around in my energy field.
And I'd really love to let that go now.
And I'd really love to let that go now.
Even if I don't know how.
Even if I don't know how.
So I have this tree.
So I have this tree.
And it's about this high.
And it's about this high.
And this is what the bark looks like.
And this is what the bark looks like.
And these are what the branches look like.
And these are what the branches look like.
With or without leaves.
With or without leaves.
And this is what the texture of the tree trunk is like.
And this is what the texture of the tree trunk is like.
And this is what the ground feels like around it.
And this is what the ground feels like around it.
And I'm just going to go through the three trees that I have written down and just go ahead and say them after me, even if it's not your tree. This glutton tree.
This glutton tree.
It's like a Bodhi tree.
It's like a Bodhi tree.
15 to 20 feet.
15 to 20 feet.
A big, heavy trunk.
Big, heavy trunk.
With smooth waves of bark.
Smooth waves of bark.
Small branches.
Small branches.
The ground is very uneven.
The ground is very uneven.
And it really slopes down.
And it really slopes down.
And the branches have no leaves.
And the branches have no leaves.
And this hopeless tree is short.
And this hopeless tree is short.
About 10 to 12 feet tall.
About 10 to 12 feet tall.
It didn't grow properly.
It didn't grow properly.
It has rough bark that is knotted.
It has rough bark that is knotted.
And the branches are short.
And the branches are short.
It's a sad looking tree.
It's a sad looking tree.
And this squatty, chubby tree.
And this squatty, chubby tree.
About 5 to 7 feet tall.
About 5 to 7 feet tall.
Has a chubby, thick trunk.
Has a chubby, thick trunk.
It's like an oak tree,
It's like an oak tree,
but it's lopsided
but it's lopsided.
and has a heavy trunk.
And it has a heavy trunk.
It's not even.
It's not even.
It has a fat trunk.
It has a fat trunk.
And the ground is rugged.
And the ground is rugged.
So close your eyes, everybody, and go ahead and look at the picture of your tree. Close your eyes, and we're going to use the tapping points, but we're going to stop tapping. So just take your fingertips and place them at the top of the eyebrow point. Take a deep breath in and blow it out. Looking at the image of your tree. It might have even changed a little bit. It might not, but either way is okay. And go to the side of the eyes. Take a deep breath in. Blow it out, looking at your tree. Under the eyes, place your fingertips. Comfortable breath in and out. Looking at your picture. One hand under the nose, one hand on the chin point, breathing in and out. Just peacefully looking at the picture of your tree. Collarbone points. Breathing in and out. Under the arm points. Just looking at your image. Top of the head points. Top of the eyebrow point, looking at your tree. Side of the eye points, looking at your image. And under the eye points. Do the 3 eye points one more time. Top of the eye, looking at the image. Side of the eye, looking at that little tree or big tree. And under the eye, looking at your tree. And shake your fingers off like you're shaking off drops of water. Open your eyes, look around the room. Maybe take a sip of water, wiggle your toes. You kind of want to break that state. And then close your eyes and go back in again and take a look at your tree and see if it's changed. See if it looks any different now. Does the picture of your tree look any different after all of that tapping? How about Sharon? Does yours look any different? You're muted.
Yes, it does. It seems softer and yeah, it seems softer.
Okay, is it still as tall? Is it still 15 to 20 feet tall?
No, I think it's a little, it's shorter and it's just more inviting. Yeah, it's just softer and easier,
Great.
for lack of a better word.
Okay, thank you. And how about Lois? How about your tree?
Okay, so I would say the tree doesn't look quite so gnarly, so it seems like the bark is smoother and some of the branches have like smoothed out.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And how about Susan?
I feel like mine looked really surreal. It was a tree, but it wasn't a real tree, and it was all this bright, luminescent, light, sparkly stuff going up on top. It did have a long, smooth trunk, and it was so surreal looking that I can't even say how tall it was because it wasn't real. And then at one point, I felt like I saw Jesus's face in it or something.
Aww.
I know, that's really weird.
I think it's beautiful. So it really changed a lot.
Yeah, it did.
Dramatically. And sometimes, so some people will get that. They'll have pretty much the same tree. Usually it could become either shorter or taller, but it'll become, if it didn't have leaves, it'll get some leaves. It's like, it's your subconscious out picturing what has changed by this. So all of these things that are in us under the surface. So we just did this little tapping, and it's showing you that just this little tapping, and it's public, so it's not quite the same as private, it's already easing it out. It's easing some of this out. It's more graceful, it's more easy, and sometimes we'll get very dramatic. Like I've seen trees like disappear. I've seen trees go from like a barren burn, just, branches to a beautiful fruit tree. So you just never know what you're going to get. It's like up to our subconscious. Anything's possible. And so Susan, I think yours was actually really quite beautiful. I think that's, I almost think that's
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, like luminescent, and to see, the face of Jesus. And I love that. It doesn't have to be real. It's a picturing. And so who knows what that means? Maybe you just kind of like cleared that, or sometimes we judge ourselves, for all these things we've been through, but they're really just our life path and all that. Oh, and Judy, did yours change? You could text us. Hers was about 12 feet tall, no leaves, knotted, and she called it a hot mess. Oh, yeah, and also kind of like think about your names and see if it feels like it should be a different name, or think about your ratings. This is just for you to get a picture of kind of like what happened in that tapping.
Good.
Totally. Oh, April, do you want to just quickly share? But we want to do a happy tree. So just hop on and quickly share how's yours changed, please.
Sure. It was about 20 feet tall, very dry, with no leaves. And
speak up just a little bit louder, please.
Can you hear me better now? I'm yelling.
Yes, yell. Go ahead.
It was about 20 feet tall, with broken branches and no leaves, and it had a bulge in the middle, and then it turned quite spontaneously. It was about half the height, about 10 feet, and it's a palm tree with bright green, beautiful smooth trunk and beautiful bright green palm fronds.
Wow. So maybe you're going on a vacation, huh, April? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, it's not a vacation. It's a symbol of the change in your energy system. Okay, so Kelly, I need to know about your experience. You're being very quiet. Did you see a tree?
No, you're muted.
She can't talk.
Yeah, she's muted.
I know.
I forgot to unmute myself. I didn't see a tree either time, so I feel more relaxed.
Okay. We'll take that.
My mind is, I don't know. I've tried all of these techniques, but I have a very short window of concentration space. I don't know if I have ADD that's undiagnosed, but I really can't focus. My mind is shooting all over very quickly. So I think I don't know. I could see.
Okay. Even if you don't see a tree, the tapping works. And if you focused and wrote down things,
yeah,
writing is super powerful for the subconscious because it's bringing what's inside out onto paper. So we just have a few minutes. So let's create a beautiful happy tree. Oh, Judy, great. So hers faded down and was not as dark, and that's good. So if I would think just about for a few of you, not for April and Susan, but I would Sharon and Lois and Judy, I would, if you have time, if you're tapping again, I would tap on that tree because it's still there. And you might have like a dramatic change the next time, because those are the two things that happen as you tap. One is it subtly gets better. And that was what yours did. Excuse me. And then the other possibility is it goes and is gone and changes into something really cool. And one isn't necessarily better than the other. They're both common experiences. I've actually never had it happen that it didn't change. So I'm just knowing for Kelly that it did change whether you saw the tree or not. And you feel more relaxed. So we're just going to create, and it's just a few of us. So just go ahead and unmute, and we're just going to tap in the good tree. So we're just going to make it up and accept it. So on our what are the new events that we're going to be doing? We could actually even just tap it in over the heart, either on the karate chop point, or sometimes you can just tap it in the heart. What are, okay, so some of the events that we are going to have in the future is and we'll just say, I am so happy that. So I'm going to say, I am so happy that I am at the weight I feel good at.
I am so happy that
I'm at the weight I feel good at.
I'm so happy that I'm eating foods that nourish my body.
I'm so happy that I'm
eating foods that nourish my body.
I'm so happy that I wear clothes that feel great and look good.
I'm so happy that I wear clothes
that feel great and I look good.
And I am walking on my life path.
And I am walking on my life path.
I'm taking good care of myself.
Taking good care of myself.
And I can be with others in social situations and eat and feel good about eating. Sorry, that was kind of long.
I can be with others in social situations and feel good about eating.
And feel good about eating.
I feel free to do what I want to do.
I feel free to do
what I want to do.
I feel happy.
I feel happy.
Feel happy.
I feel fulfilled.
I feel fulfilled.
I feel empowered.
I feel empowered.
I feel in control.
I feel in control.
But I also feel like I can go with the flow.
But I also feel like I can go with the flow.
I feel loving.
I feel loving.
Feel loving.
And I feel free.
And I feel free.
Any other feelings you guys want to add in there?
Confident.
I feel confident.
Feel confident.
I feel fulfilled.
I feel fulfilled.
I feel fulfilled.
And I honestly believe I am good enough.
And I honestly believe I am good enough.
If other people can do it, I can do it.
If other people can do it, I can do it.
I am worthy.
I am
worthy.
I deserve taking care of myself.
I deserve
taking care of myself.
I am capable.
I am capable.
I enjoy the process of learning about myself.
I enjoy the
process of learning about myself.
My life is filled with gratitude.
My life is filled with gratitude.
Good things are happening.
Good things are happening.
And it seems so easy.
And it seems so easy.
I am surprised and delighted.
Surprised and delighted.
By the new changes in my life.
By the new changes in my life.
And I am grateful.
And I am grateful.
So be it.
So be it.
Okay, so just take a deep breath in and out and see. Sometimes different things happen. Sometimes people have a whole new tree. Sometimes your old tree changed. So just take a glance at your other tree and just see if it changed any. If it did, that's fine. If it didn't, that's fine. Any last comments before we sign off? Did anybody's tree change that last little bit? Or Sharon, what was yours?
It's really fading out. And I didn't think of that word before when I said it, but it really is fading in. It's like a mirage.
Oh, beautiful. And depending on what feels right to you, like you can even just see your tree that's fading out and kind of almost like give it thanks for all that you've learned from it. And you could even like shine light, either shine the sunlight or from your heart, shine more light on it and just give it permission to be gone at the right amount of leaving, the perfect amount for you at this time. So just go ahead and shine more light on it. And that might even just dissipate it. Because we can love and appreciate all that we've been through. Instead of just saying it's bad, we've learned a lot from it. Lois, did yours change at all?
I feel like the bark lightened up and it got smoother.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
And
I'm definitely going to tap on it some more.
Okay. And also take a look at your beginning number. You don't have to share it, but it's probably not that same rating anymore, would be my hope. And take a look at the name of it and see if maybe it needs a new name. Okay, so thank you, everyone. I want to keep this to the time because I know everyone's busy. If you have any questions, feel free to email about them. And I'd also really be curious, like even tomorrow, like sometimes these changes are so subtle, like we dealt with a lot of things. So you might just have some different thoughts or some different feelings or have a lightness. It's kind of like a vacuuming from the inside out. So I hope it does you well. And thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Robin.
Thank you, Robin. Just wonderful. Really enjoy these sessions. Thank
I'm
you.
going to stop the recording, but then I'm going to listen to you, Sharon.